Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. As always, it is I, Brent Young, joined by some guys who took in the 16th victory in a row, ringing that victory bell loud and clear. 60, 59, and 7. The lead for the Red and Black in the overall series against the Miami Redhawks. Wow, big time victory, big time game. Big time moment. Also, 50th win for Coach Luke Fickell. A lot to break down here on Monday. So, without further ado, it's time to welcome in two guys, pals, people who are heavy in the trenches down there at Paycor Stadium. Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, guys, how are we?
If I was any better, I'd be twins, Brent.
Twins. Okay.
I'm good, man. Good. I had fun. First time being in the press box at Paycor at Paul Brown, call it what you will. First time in that stadium in the press box. First time on the field. So some firsts for me down there.
Pay Joe Stadium.
A few firsts. Well, another first, as you see, Ryan Royer is not below me here on this four squares, if you will. So we had to pull in a reliever. Quite the reliever that is. None other than Mr. Garrett Campbell. Garrett, I could list the laundry list of accolades about you and your time with the Bearcats, but I'll save that for your second visit. How about that?
So okay, that works for me.
I'll say Garrett Campbell, how are we?
I am fantastic. I'm glad Royer's out tonight. I think he's actually celebrating his birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Oh.
Is that
I
today?
know. Yeah, I think it's either today or yesterday. So, I'll let him off the hook tonight. I'll take the reins for a little bit.
He hit me up and said his girlfriend surprised him with dinner at the precinct tonight. And he was like,
that's a good girlfriend right there.
And
that's a keeper.
You go to the precinct and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, just a dinner at the precinct, we had to put two and two together after that and see.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's an anniversary, maybe who knows? Maybe he's getting pretty serious with the old lady friend. Maybe she's ready to make a move.
He's Ryan Royer, man. He's a legend.
Mr. Bearcat.
Mr. Bearcat. Bring him in. But hey, we've got another legend right underneath me. Garrett, as we mentioned, welcome onto the pod, the BBP here. And of course, without going any further, we got to mention our boy Danco, Joe and Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Shout out to them. As always, head there, get yourself an oil change, $10 off that, 10% off. Other numerous car fixings that you might need. Just mention BBP, mention Chatty B, mention AA Ron, and even mention Gare Bear, Mr. Garrett Campbell as well. But aside from that, one thing that probably needs fixed with the Bearcat team would be a couple of things. But other than that, we got to mention big time win, big time victory, taking over the all-time series lead. And I know people have mentioned it on the brunch on Sunday. Dave kind of mentioned how it's been ad nauseum about the whole, first time since 1915. But I think that's something that is important to mention that, with Luke Fickell, the greatest UC coach of all time, yet again, here we are setting another precedent, winning this one. But Garrett couldn't have gotten to 16 in a row and 60, 59, and 7 if it wasn't for the 10 that you won in a row, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited to be there, kind of be part of a history there. It's a lot of chipping away, and let me tell you what, that bell is a lot heavier than you would think, physically and emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and for the program. It brings a lot of pride. When that leading up to that week, I'll never forget each year when I was playing, at least I'd get texts from, alumni of past, O-line of past. And, they'd have some choice words of what would happen if we didn't bring back home the bell. So, it every year it remains a very high precedent, and I'm excited to kind of be a part of that. And I was able to see it this year, and I was able to hold the bell, my senior year. And
by yourself?
I had the help of my boy Kyle Trout. Now, you don't want to carry that bad boy by yourself.
I don't know if you saw my reaction, but yeah.
That is a heavy boy. But no, it's an incredible feeling. I'm so happy for the guys. Every year it's a fantastic game. Miami comes out to play every year. And, I'm just excited we were able to pull this one out.
I've covered 16 victory bells, 15 victory bells. So I'm 15-0. It's pretty good, right?
Nice. Congrats.
And one of my favorite things every year is watching somebody new try to lift that thing for the first time and the realization hitting them that
Oh no,
this
that ain't no
heavy.
fake bell. No, that ain't no fake bell.
This isn't the keg of nails. The keg of
Oh,
nails
no.
was like 3 pounds. Like the keg of nails didn't weigh anything.
Mm-hmm.
The victory bell, every time somebody goes to pick it up and they're like, whoa, wait, nobody warned me.
Yeah,
Well, I think
it takes a lot.
Cincinnati's won enough to the point where they have that push cart ready on the sideline. They're just like, all right, we're gonna take it off for the little cameras that need to get it, but we have the push cart right here because we know we're just going to push it back out. But
Man, I don't know what you're talking about. My senior year at Paul
Y'all
Brown in the
carried it.
rain, me and Trout had to carry that bad boy from the opposite sideline into our locker room. We didn't
No
see
way.
any push cart. Oh man, it was, rewarding and challenging at the same time after a full 4 quarters.
especially in that game too, full of
Oh,
rain.
yeah. Oh man.
That was a tough one. Big win though.
Thanks for the donation, Richard. We appreciate it.
I guess first things first, gotta throw it out there, Garrett. Obviously downtown Paul Brown Stadium. You spent the whole season playing there. One of your years as a Bearcat. Talk about the difference just broadly between playing at Nippert and then the atmosphere at Paul Brown, because I tell you what, I was up in the press box, so I didn't really get the true feel of it out there, but it felt a little, I don't want to say off is the word, but kind of just the whole pro football setting just didn't really mix with college as the way that I wanted to.
Well, when you have a home stadium like Nippert, it's hard to go anywhere else and get that same feeling, that kind of deep bowl feeling where, you have people on either side going up, shouting down. It can make a stadium like Paycor feel a little empty at times. I was a little different when I played. Any field I went on to, I put horse blinders on. I could never tell what was going. Even when we played at the big house, even when in front of 110,000, it's like I was right back on Nippert or even Shakely, even on the practice field. For me, it never really played a factor. But you do kind of get that waving off of energy a little bit. You do lose that crowd noise advantage, when you go to a larger venue like that and more open venue like that. But it's a good chance for those guys to get something new because these weeks as they move on, they get a little more. 3 home games in a row are technically in a way now, but it can kind of get a little mundane. So it is a nice little change up for them.
As far as the game itself, it was it's one where in the beginning, and I'm sure you've been a part of this quite a lot, where it was I don't know, kind of a couple miscues, a surprise, strong offensive drive by who I'm sure a lot of players on the team, because they know a lot about Miami, know it's the backup quarterback going out there, second career start. First career start was against an FCS team. So I don't know if that maybe throws off a mentality. Maybe, I'm sure you get up for every game and every moment, especially in a rivalry game. But it seemed as if Miami kind of came out and surprised everyone a little bit on that opening offensive drive.
So what people don't understand and what I kind of alluded to earlier is, this game, both teams come out to play every year. For both of them, a rivalry this strong and this old, you're going to get your best shot from, both sides out the gate. People take shots, people go all out, and, it just means that much to both these guys. And I think it's a testament to Luke Fickell's program and the discipline that he's instilled that, it's not something that, maybe in times of past would have gotten the team down. Going down quick like that at the beginning of the game can shut down a lot of teams, especially to what's on paper supposed to be, an inferior team. I think he does a great job of getting those guys locked in, getting them, next snap and clear. Let's go. We're not out of this. This is just the beginning. And I think they did a great job of that. And I think the final score kind of exemplified that.
Penalties have been an issue so far this season. 10, 10, 10 in each of the games, I believe, or at least 10 in each of the games. In any case, it's kind of been a thing, not even just this season, but kind of been a thing that Luke's had a little bit of trouble with in the past even. Is this any surprise to you as being somebody who's been part of the team, or how do you fix something like this when it's become something that's been a thing for a while now?
When you harp on it too much, it becomes the only thing you think about and you start playing scared. And I know that's one thing that Fickell really doesn't want. In all my years there, he said, you know what, we're going to get a couple penalties sometimes, playing through the whistle, doing this, being energetic, being hype. it's okay. We'll live with that. We'll work on it. But if you focus on that, like we did, I forget, it was during my Tuberville era, if you focus on that and you harp on it. And I remember after practice, we used to do 10 up downs for every in practice penalty we had, during our live reps. It becomes the only thing you focus on, and you don't worry about the game. You don't worry about playing fast, playing hard. And sometimes it can get in your head. So I think they're doing a good job. It's all about cleaning up. It's still a very young season. It's a young team, a bunch of guys playing together. Some of them, it's only their second game ever playing together, and it just takes a little bit of time to kind of get the feel of what, for a lot of them, at their first time starters, kind of get a feel of what the refs are going to look for, kind of what things that you might be able to get away with. I think if you can get eliminate pre-snap penalties, I think we'll be in the clear.
Yeah, as far as it goes for penalties, I understand you want to keep them down and try and at least not get too out of hand. But when you look at the teams last year who had the least amount of penalties throughout the entire season, and the top 25, I don't think maybe one or two or maybe a handful of the teams ended up even playing in a bowl game. I mean, in the top 10 real quick, it's ULM, Kansas, Army, Eastern Michigan, Washington, Navy, UNLV, Air Force, Indiana, LSU. It's teams that, like, yes, penalties are an issue and some of that needs to get resolved. But in the end, like you said, if you go out there and you're constantly thinking in the back of your mind, it's like in basketball. If you make a mistake or have a turnover, sometimes coaches might pull you out right away, and that might mess with your psyche as well. But it seems like the staff does kind of let them know, hey, go out there and just play. And if a penalty happens, it happens, but we're not going to harp on it too much.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of not really in the side of where, like, penalties drive me crazy. Especially
I just wanted to get a player perspective on it. I think that was a great
Right.
perspective to have.
Oh, it absolutely
Yeah.
was. I agree.
Penalties drive me crazy if you're constantly looking at 1st and 15.
Yeah, I agree with that. Which is what it was.
That's where penalties drive me crazy.
Well, like I said, pre-snap penalties are the killer. Pre-snap
Right.
penalties are inexcusable. Those are the ones that aren't necessarily play hard, play fast, just doing your job out there. Those are just mental mistakes that get corrected over time and get corrected over experience. Some people who are
penalties of aggression are fine, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to happen.
Exactly.
Mental penalties are the ones that kill you, and that's more than anything. That's what we've seen from this team is more the mental stuff.
Yeah, I mean, in this last game though, 3 or 4 of those 5-yard varieties came in the fourth quarter when the game was already in hand.
Sure.
And then on top of it, it's also where, like, I think sometimes the road atmosphere is what lends its hand to that. And at IU last year is a game that I remember where it was kind of just like the first 3 series, it was 1st and 15 every single set of downs. So no, I agree with that part. But also I think even if it's not like a blatant, like, offsides or false start where you're just, like, really just doing it over and over again, I don't see too much of an issue with it. Yes, is it something that needs to be lessened a little bit? For sure. But on top of it, I don't think that's the lead, like, concern about the team as far as it goes, because they've had so many penalties during the Luke Fickell tenure, and yet they've won so many games. And I think a lot of people have written that in different ways and said it in different ways, but I agree with that side of things more than the crazy penalty side. But other than that, as far as offense and quarterback goes, when you go out there and then the other team scores that first time down the field and you don't come up with a response, is it kind of just back to the drawing board? Because it seemed as if the offense didn't really it kind of got them a little bit, because the fumble was another mistake that needs to not happen. But it seemed as if they came out there and they were just as confident, knowing maybe that they had the upper hand against Miami, no matter what happened, as long as they just stay away from another fumble.
Yeah. So, I mean, over the past couple of years, the amount of wins that these guys have, and a lot of them have been on the team, 2, 3, 4 years, and they have a lot of these wins under the belt, and they have seen, being down to a young, undisciplined team that's accustomed to losing, that might be detrimental, being down that quick to a team that you're supposed to be better than. But I think these guys have the discipline. They have the winning attitude, the winning pedigree now, that they're not going to let something like that trouble them. They're going to snap and clear. They have great coaches. They have great position coaches that are going to tell them, listen, that happened. Clear. We got the next set of down. We're going to go back out there. The defense got us. You guys worked against these guys throughout all of camp. You guys know what they can do. They're going to put up a stop. They're going to adjust. They're going to know what they're doing. And we'll get right back out there. We're going to get another chance, And I think they did a great job of that, responding and not panicking.
All right, let's go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to say, despite the people who, like myself, wanted the Ritter follow-up with Evan Prater to win the job, Ben Bryant has won the job. And Ben Bryant has done very well. What have you seen out of Ben Bryant so far that's impressed you through 3 games?
I got a soft spot for old Benny in my heart. I've known Ben for a very long time. I think Ben, what people might not see on the sidelines and what I can see is that his teammates respect him, and that, they built up a tremendous amount of respect and that they revere him as a leader. And I think it's evident by the way that he mingles with his wide receivers, with his offensive line, the way that, they pick him up, things like that. I think that Ben has done a great job kind of rallying those guys. And it takes, like I said, a disciplined team, and position coaches do their great job of, kind of circling the horses and whatnot. But, it comes from the players too. I think Ben's done a great job of that. I think what people don't understand, people just see the Saturdays or, Friday night, Saturday night games. And what people don't understand is the amount of work and the amount of stuff that he's done coming into the season, the camp reps he's had, all those kind of things. And I know a lot of people, talk about Prater and whatnot. I know you brought that up, but Ben did win the job. They have great coaches there that have been doing this for a really long time, and they know that they're going to put in who they think is going to give them the best chance to succeed. And I think Ben has obviously shown them that in the past couple months, and I think they're in a good place. And I think they're just catching their kind of stride now, especially with the latter half of that game went. And I think it's only up from here.
Can I ask an offensive line question in regards to the quarterback? Because obviously, you had time with both Hayden and then time with Dez as well. So kind of, Hayden kind of a little bit more like the Ben Bryant type, where it's pocket passing, going to stay in the pocket a little bit more. And then Dez obviously had that multi-dimensional dual threat ability. So what is the blocking scheme difference-wise when you have someone back there who might look to flush out of the pocket a little bit quicker, who might be more inclined to find an opening and run, compared to someone where you're going to probably have to contain that pocket and really set it up strong for them to step up and make a good throw?
It might vary for different people, but for me, it doesn't matter who you put back there. I'm going to block the same. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to try to hold that pocket as best I can for as long as I can, regardless of who's back there. I've seen Hayden have some wheels now. I've seen Hayden take off a couple times.
Sometimes he did.
Maybe it did look too pretty, but Desmond obviously adds a different element with his ability to run there. And, that's kind of exciting, and it provides that kind of extra cushion if, you don't hold it, your block as, that extra, half a second there, you kind of miss on a block there. He can kind of shift off of your block and cut around you, things like that. So it does add a little bit of a different dynamic in the sense that you have a little forgiveness and a little cushion. But at the end of the day, those guys' schemes and their blocking schemes and their technique aren't going to change from quarterback to quarterback. They're going to block it the same to the best of their ability.
Do you feel the defensive line pushing back a little bit with the scrambling quarterback, maybe like kind of keeping their head up to see if
you'll definitely see a lot more ears pinned back with a QB pocket passer like Hayden. You'll get those DNs who will widen out a little bit more. But with a guy like Desmond, who on those third and mediums, he could definitely take off. They kind of are coached to kind of just look and scan a little bit easier, or a little bit more.
As we're talking about you playing offensive line, so I know you have one, Chad. I
I like 6 questions in a row now.
I gave it a pause, man. So mad.
He'll get over it.
As we're talking about you being offensive lineman, though, looking at the defensive line as it's currently built, I mean, can you are there guys on the line right now defensively that you just would loathe going up against in practice every day, as you just seeing them as opposed to having actually faced them?
I mean, there was a different mentality, it's a very hard question. So my senior year, my junior year, you got guys like Cortez Broughton, Marquise Cope. I mean,
Yeah.
these are dudes who are
NFL
still
guys.
playing. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And it flips a whole different. I was much more, I'm not going to say terrified. I was so much more respectful of those guys than anybody else I ever played, any other team. Those guys brought it every day in practice to the point of game reps, and that helped me in games because nobody else I ever faced brought it as hard as them and got me as mentally sharp and focused as they did. And looking at the guys, obviously I played with a couple of the D linemen that are still there, but you got to think when these guys are freshmen, sophomore, they're nothing compared to what they grow up to be. So, I would play against guys like Elijah and Curtis and, Maje. No disrespect to those guys, but, when we got to go 1s-on-2s, it was kind of a sigh of relief that I didn't have to play against Cortez and Marquise. But obviously they grew into their own, and obviously they'd be very formidable. But
all NFL guys as well.
Exactly, right? And so I can't really speak too much to the current D line without actually having to play against them. But I mean, they look monstrous. They look great. I know what Brady Collins did for me in 2 years. I can't imagine being there 4 or 5 years. It's unbelievable what he does down there. He's one of the greatest in the business, and it goes to show in the way that our O line and D line dominate line of scrimmage.
Wait for Chad to get his in.
You, buddy.
Go ahead. Carry on.
No, Chad. Seriously. Join us.
No, that's okay. No, it's fine. Kathy wants to hear you guys talk anyway.
Everybody be quiet till Chad's asked a question.
3-man front. I want your opinion on seeing a defense in a 3-man front, because everyone is convinced that Cincinnati struggles against the run because their defense is in a 3-man front. How much does it have to do with the 3-man front, and how much more is it? How many bodies are in the box at any given time?
Well, that depends. I mean, that's such a loaded question. I mean, it depends.
I know, right?
If you have an overhang, if you have 3 back, if you have a 3 stack in the box, if you have 2 inside, and then you have like a nickel rolling down or like a safety coming in the box, as you have to account +1 on that in the change. I mean, you're asking a loaded question here. And the scheme changes from O-line coach to O-line coach, and that varies. And I don't know the new scheme very well, but for me, 4-man fronts are a lot more convenient. They're a lot more straight cut and forward, and they're a little easier to move into. Usually 3-man fronts, you get a little bit more movement, or a lot of bit more movement for that matter, because people got to get into gaps. And so for a young O-line who's not used to passing that off and are trying to come off the ball hard, that can be hard at times, just because of, you have so much across your face stuff, and you have to think about your rules of how many you can let pass, how much help you have to give to your backside, things of that nature. So 3 front can be confusing when you see it, especially, our defense obviously plays an even front. You don't see it through camp. You don't see it through, you're only seeing it at scout team, and those guys are going half speed of what you're going to see in game reps. So it's hard to picture what's going to happen without seeing it first. And that just comes with time. You get a more experienced line, you'll start passing that off easier. You'll start opening gaps up a little more.
Let's ask the real question. Your impressions of Gavin Gerhardt through 3 games.
He's done a phenomenal job of stepping up. That's, as Fickle has said over these last couple years, to build a phenomenal, great program, it's not about your 1s, it's about the 2s, the guys who can step up and kind of make those plays and be just as good as the guy who was up there. And that's why they stress so much on, being ready, taking those mental reps, kind of watching the person in front of you to see the mistakes they make or the good things that they do, to be able to emulate that when it's your time to rise. And, it's a great sight to see, these young guys stepping up, because these guys are going to be guys that can plug and play, when senior guards leave, things of that nature. and he's done a phenomenal job. I know that, and I know center how hard it is of a position it is. I mean, you are controlling that offensive line, you're making those calls, you're calling out fronts, and for a young guy, that can be very, very overwhelming. But he has great support around him. He's got some older guys around him that can kind of help him through that. And as time goes on, I think this is a great year for him. And when Renfro comes back, I think he'll, either be great support there or be even better support at guard. And he'll have game experience.
He was going to start at left guard. He was going to start at left guard.
He's going to have great game experience. And not only that, he's going to understand the center position a lot better. And that's going to help him as a guard because he's going to understand what it means to block against that nose on a 3 front. He's going to know what it means to be a shade against a center or maybe a 2 technique or something like that, So having that multitude of positions under your belt, actual live game reps under your belt, that just helps you tremendously working together with the person next to you.
So he told me in camp he had never played center before last year. He had never snapped a ball. Is that even more impressive that he basically learned it as like an apprenticeship last year? And now, bright lights, like top 30 team. You're calling the show.
It's an incredible feeling. I mean, every play, you're the one who's going to start with the ball. No matter what happens, you're going to have that ball in your hand, and it's your job. People don't understand how stressful of a job that is to get that ball back there perfectly every snap. People expect it, but people don't understand. You're doing that. You get 80 plays in a game. You're going to do that consistently all year and into practice. And, that's when your hands sweating. You got hands all busted up. You got blood running down your fingers, or you have your hands cut open like somebody did to me on accident. There's a lot of factors that play into that. And people don't respect a center enough. And for him to do that in his first year and in a new position, kudos to him. It's great job. Fantastic for him, and it's just something else he can put under his belt, and he can have a great job, and help him moving forward to his next journey, I guess.
Phyllis in the chat says you're her inspiration during her hip replacement surgery recovery.
Oh, well, I'm glad I could be there for you, Phyllis. It's a grind. It stinks. I mean, I had a phenomenal and shout out Aaron and Michelle and everybody in the training room. I had phenomenal ATs to take care of me. Fortunately, I had 24/7 care every day in some of the best facilities. So I was able to make my recovery, so speedily. But the only thing I can say, Phyllis, keep up the rehab at home. I think that's the most important thing.
And now we've got Jim Huber in the chat, who, of course, is Joe Huber's dad.
Of course.
Joe Huber was a walk-on and ascended to a starting spot. How hard is it, Garrett? Ooh. It took you a little longer than Joe. Mm-hmm. Joe got there a little faster, but you were going to be a doctor, and then you were like, I'm just going to sell the supplies.
Yeah, 4 more years of school didn't sound great. A couple $100,000 in debt didn't sound great either. I said, you know what? Let me be on the other side here.
But how difficult is it to go from walk-on to integral? I mean, starting right tackle is a big-ass job. Starting center is a big-ass job.
It is.
And you took a challenging academic load. Joe is an engineer, so also taking a challenging academic load. It takes something special to be able to do that, doesn't it?
It is incredible. It is incredibly tough. And I remember me and Will Sturr, if anybody knows Will or remembers Will, we used to go into fourth quarters, and we'd be up at 5 a.m. We'd be in the bubble. We'd be freezing. These are Walker days. And we'd look at each other, and we'd say, can you imagine we're paying for this right now?
Right. You're paying for this privilege.
Exactly.
You get your ass kicked at 5:30 in the morning.
And
it's going to class all day.
It was something. And, in those days, back when two days were allowed and walk-ons weren't allowed to eat, we'd spend Sundays from our 7 a.m. lift, because we had to be there early, till our 5 p.m., 6 p.m. after practice. We couldn't eat because they'd be up. They'd go up to breakfast. They'd go up to lunch. And we weren't allowed to eat. So, we'd sit in there, we'd raid the snack pantry or whatever, we'd eat whatever we could, but it's such a tough grind that when that call comes, when you get that scholarship, it's just so much sweeter, and that it makes you work so much hard. And that's why you have these guys like Royer and Huber and myself, all these walk-ons that you see, like these guys really love they really go all out when they have the opportunity. And it's because we remember everything we had to do to get there. And it makes playing that much sweeter. It makes that scholarship that much sweeter. It makes being able to tell your parents that they don't have to worry anymore. And it's such a surreal feeling.
That's why we're the number one walk-on
Oh
home
yeah.
in the country.
Oh yeah.
We're the walk-on.
Former.
Speaking
walk-ons,
of, did
right.
anybody see that the Eli Manning Penn State?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
That was funny.
What's his name?
Come
Connor.
on.
Dan. Is Connor?
No, Chad.
Connor Powers
Chad.
or something?
Chad
Yeah.
Chad Powers.
Chad Powers.
Chad will remember it was Chad.
Chad, can you legally change your last name to Powers, please?
I think.
I think it fits you so much better.
I probably could.
Was Luke and his staff a big advantage for the walk-ons? Because I obviously went back and read your article with Justin Williams. Shout out to Justin, but just kind of the change of staff, because it seems like Brady Brady comes on the pod all the time. He's always just talking about how everyone has equal opportunity. It's about the work you put in and everything behind that. Did you kind of get that sense and that feeling when they came in and took over?
With the Tuberville staff, it felt a little stale. I had 2 offensive line coaches during that time, and it just felt like you were getting somewhere, and you were getting to a point where it might happen soon. And you talk to your offensive line coach, and they're like, "Hey, just a little bit longer. You're on the 2s now. Blah blah blah. You'll get there." And then it would never come because somebody else would come, or there's a big coaching change, or something happens. And so to be able to have that fresh start, to be able to have that fresh set of eyes, was an absolute blessing for me. And I fell in love. I was always a weight room guy. I was never really super athletic. I couldn't run fast. I couldn't jump far. So I fell in love with the weight room, and that's where I kind of found Brady, and Brady found me, and he saw, my potential. And I think he had a big part in what, talking to Fickle and saying, this guy works and he can be something for us. And I think, Luke saw that as well after Brady, and letting me get in the scholarship, and I'll be forever thankful to him for that.
All right, you guys can have it back now. I'm done.
Thanks, Chad Powers.
Thanks, Chad Powers. Yep. Great job whipping that ball around. So anyway, just one quick question back on that real fast. The attention training part, and I'm going to get a reference Justin Williams on this. First, you can give your broad view on it, but in the article, it said that someone puked on the ground, and one of the straight coaches swiped it up, licked it, and said, "What did you eat this morning?" I have to ask, was that Brady? And if you can't answer the question, then don't answer it. But I mean,
he'd be so proud. I was 1 row back and 2 rows over. It was it Bryce Minor? Bryson Minor, maybe? I think he threw up all over the place. And Mike Stacchiotti, who's now still the head strength coach at Penn or at Pitt, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's the one who licked it up and said, "What'd you eat this morning?" And that was a shock. I mean, these guys' shock value for us kind of coming in, I mean, that was a rude awakening. I remember Brady coming up, we'd run outside, 5 a.m., we're freezing. We can't wear anything with Bearcats gear. We have all this, ragtag kind of bunch of clothes. And I remember standing at the Bearcat statue, and I remember Brady's eyes just darting around. I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? And after the day got done, and maybe this was a couple months later, I was like, what? Like, I brought it back up. I was like, what were you darting your eyes? He's like, oh, I had no idea what we were doing. He's like, I didn't know where we were going. I didn't know what was happening. And, it was just such attention training is the only word for it. And they sure got our attention. I mean, it was a heck of a time, but it was what we needed, honestly. I mean, we were content with having a losing streak, and we were content with just kind of being mediocre, and that kind of righted the ship in a lot of ways.
What's it like right now, seeing
What's that like?
What's that like?
seeing
man?
the heights of where this team has been in the college football playoff last season, to know that they're going into Big 12 and knowing that you had a hand in all of this.
Honestly, ton of jealousy. I see all my former teammates and we come together. We all look at each other. We're like, man, this would be nice if we were still here, right? Seeing the fuel station all done, seeing the locker room done, seeing the Nippert packed out. I mean, it's so exciting to see that for them. And I'm happy I had a hand in giving that to them. I will forever be grateful for the university. It gave back to me so much more than I could, ever take from it or was able to receive from it. Um, it's exciting, and it's always great to come back and see everybody. I always feel so welcome. Um, whether that be with Dalvin down in the EQ room or with Brady downstairs or even going up and stopping it. I mean, those doors are always open, and it's such a phenomenal feeling. And I'm just so excited to see them roll, man. And it just makes me such a proud alumni. It makes all of us such proud alumni to kind of see the new heights that they've reached.
Did you think about doing what this guy over here did, and maybe changing your name, getting a disguise?
Yeah, coming back, man. I've lost all that weight now. It'd be tough getting 50, 60 pounds back on, but
No, it wouldn't.
yeah, right. A couple
Stay higher
Skyline
ground,
trips,
Yeah.
Higher
couple
ground for
Skyline trips, couple double stack burgers.
Or the Godfather.
Ooh,
Yeah.
saw
Did you see that?
Skyline order. Oh, the Skyline order? You kidding me?
What'd you think?
See, in my prime, I'm a large 4-way juicy with 4 cheese conies with everything on them kind of guy.
Okay.
So I mean, I can hold my
Juicy.
weight.
What's a juicy?
You're from Cincinnati. You don't even know what juicy is?
Extra.
Yeah,
chili?
thank you.
The grease, like whatever the stuff on.
Just
the
the stuff on
chili
top.
on there.
He wants
No,
it
it's
dripping.
perfect.
Get it dripping. Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, I've seen his last name escaping me. Bryce. The linebacker
Burton?
from what was the last name?
No, not Bryce Bird.
No,
Bryce
why am I
Burton's
forgetting?
a holder.
Okay, anyway, Bryce, I remember he used to take 10 to 12 conies down, and that would just be an appetizer. I mean, he'd go home and eat. He would talk about eating. You talk about Sam Geraci. The dude would be stacking 12, 13 plates in the calf. I mean, it's unbelievable what some of these guys could do. And they were the most ripped dudes on the team. I had no idea how they do it. I'm very jealous to this day.
So how much of the Godfather could you get through? 7 Cholitos with French fries,
In your day.
string cheese, a large 3-way, and chili cheese fries.
Take away the chili cheese fries, and I think it'll be all right.
You could crush 7 Cholitos with fries.
Cholitos are tiny. They're like bite size, man. Pop them
And a
bad
large
boys in. We
three-way.
done.
A lot of flour.
I'm kind of on Garrett's side too. I think I could pound 7 Cholitos.
Yeah, I mean, like a cheese coney, I fit in the palm of my hand. That's easy.
And cheese conies are nothing until you get up. Like once you get over like 6 or 7, then they're like, all right, this is it's a lot
Now,
to get through.
I will say for his age, I mean, that was in high school, right?
Yeah.
After a game.
Okay, so now that like peak my like playing at like 330 weight, then I could eat that, but not in like my freshman year there. No way.
Was it Bryce Jenkinson? Was that
Bryce
the name of-
Jenkinson, that's it. Hey man, he's
Yeah,
such a good friend of mine too. I can't believe I forgot that for a second.
Janky,
Jeff said
man.
Cholitos are like taquitos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even better.
Slam those down.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like in terms of being able to throw them back, they're like taquitos.
Oh yeah. Okay. I can get down with that then.
All right.
Unreal.
Let's keep rolling with the eating, adding weight, Brady Collins,
Okay.
but the opposite way, in way of maybe eating less and losing weight. Ivan Pace. I want to know your thoughts on Ivan and how difficult it is for offensive linemen to guard a defender like that who just seems like he can just get real small at the line of scrimmage and find small creases and burst his way through, and he's always just living in the backfield.
Listen, those slippery guys are some of the worst. I mean, person that comes to mind is Perry.
Perry. Yep.
Perry,
That's exact Perry on.
Perry used to just shake me out of my shoes sometimes, and it used to drive me up a wall. I mean, and he's not only that. I mean, Ivan looks like an absolute he looks like a brick too.
Yeah.
And he's kind of got that duo of speed, agility, and strength. and that's something really deadly for an offensive lineman. We're not used to fast-moving targets. We're used to big old D linemen. I don't even like skinny D linemen. I don't trust the skinny D linemen.
You never liked Majay, did you?
Never liked Majay, man. He didn't seem like the true D lineman type. No, it is really tricky to block those kind of guys. And being 340, you do get those big, strong linebackers, but they don't. It's easy to latch onto those guys, and at least told them. But those slippery ones, man, they'll make you look like a fool.
Do you see a lot of the maybe pro potential in Ivan? I know the NFL is different, but from what you've seen just during his time with the Bearcats, I've lost 30 pounds, obviously is very coachable, the ability to do that and hold it and then go out there, and he's just flying all over the field. He looks like at times arguably the best player on the entire team. I don't want to make that, and I don't want you to have to answer that, but
he's the best player on the defense.
Yeah, yes, definitely. But I said team, entire team.
I know. I'm comfortable with saying
we're saying games, defense. Yeah,
Ivan Pace is the best player on the defense.
Oh, I'm comfortable with saying that too. But I was pushing it as far as that, but
right to the line.
right.
So again, we talk about those. We talk about the slipperiness, the strength, the high motor, the ability to kind of be all over the field, be in every play. Those are kind of things that NFL teams are going to be looking for. They don't want to have to coach those kind of things on dudes. They don't want to have to tell dudes to pick it up. You got to get going. For him to have that already is an incredible thing for him. And I think he knows it, and he's playing for his last year here, and he knows what's on the line. And I think that just adds to his fire. Does he have another one?
Yeah. So
I thought he's a grad transfer.
No.
How do you not sit out?
He came in 2019.
Because you don't have to sit out now.
What? When did
transfer
change?
portal's wild.
Yeah.
He came in 2019. He only played 3 games in 2020.
Okay.
Remember, Miami only played 3 games.
Yeah.
So technically, he redshirted and COVID 20. And then he played in 2021. He's technically only played 2 years of college football.
Well, if he's not even fighting for his last year, that's unbelievable. He's already got all those high motors. He's not even playing for like that, last year got a ball out type of deals. The sky's the limit for him. If he can put on that weight again, but in a good weight kind of way. How much does he weigh now?
235, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
230, 235 range. I'd say that's probably about where they want him going forward.
Okay. Man, my mind goes to like Jeff Luck, like 265.
Yeah.
Scary man.
That man's
scary
arms.
Man.
That man's arms.
I saw him. So fun story. Chad, do you ever hear about what he did to EJ Jr.?
No. Tell me.
We're going through scout. This is my freshman year at scout team, and I guess EJ was just running, but EJ ran hard all the time because he was a great player, and he wanted to give the guys a good look. And I remember Jeff is a teddy bear, man, in scout team. He never wanted to hurt a fly. He's probably had the most potential to hurt pretty much about anything, but he never wanted to hurt a fly. And I think EJ just ran the ball into his chest 1 or 2 times too hard, and he grabbed his face mask. And in one swift motion, he popped it off of his helmet. Just no struggle. Didn't even jerk his head forward. Just popped it completely off of his helmet. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen. I vowed to never try to run up on Jeff like that again.
Not his helmet.
No.
The face mask.
Face mask. Broke all the screws, all the holdings. It's gone. I've seen him do scary things.
I've never heard of that before, ever.
Ask any of my freshmen. That's like Dave Niehaus, Will, Corey, any of those guys. They'll tell you the same story. Or Tyler Cogswell.
I've never heard that before, ever. Have any of you ever heard that before?
No.
I've never heard of any human in planet Earth doing that, so no.
Well, Jeff Luck, you won't find another human like Jeff Luck out there. Trust me.
Wasn't he like top? Like he was a 5-star, right?
He was an elite 5-star at Florida State. Yeah.
Right. When he transferred in, I remember looking because he switched to that single digit number, and I was like, man, he just looks like an absolute hoss out there. But
yeah, Jeff, I agree. That's one of the most frightening things I've also ever heard.
Yeah, I'd question a lot of things I do the rest of my life.
I might not have practiced the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You can't because you don't have a helmet anymore.
No, I mean if I just saw it. Jason says those are not small screws. No, they're not.
No,
I mean that's
those bad boys aren't meant to come off. Those things go through full force impacts and they don't come off. Man, it's one swift. Bop. Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
And I thought Kelsey ripping the helmet off a D
throwing it in the stands
and throwing it up.
Oh yeah, that was crazy too.
You weren't there for that.
I wouldn't. I mean, I heard about it.
Yeah,
I heard from Step and Metter, although
everybody's heard about it. And not like just to the bleachers, but like halfway up Nippert Stadium.
Oh, I know.
Have you watched any of the New Heights podcast yet?
I haven't, not yet.
It's good. It's really good, man.
I'll have to get on it then.
You know what it is, right?
No, I actually haven't heard of it before.
It's Travis and Jason have.
I did see the promo for that. Yeah, I did actually.
It's real. Like listening to those two talk football is.
It's easy when you're with your brother, man. That's easy.
Yeah, but I mean, they're both like. I don't think people like really realize this because of their personalities. They're both football savants. Like.
Oh yeah.
You don't get to where those two have gotten without like your football mind being when they really like there's funny and like the stuff that they're posting. But when you really get into that podcast and listen to them talk football, it's kind of mesmerizing because you're like, these two understand the game at a level that even 99% of the pros like don't grasp. It's
I mean,
really
you want to talk about the original walk-on. We can go back to Jason's story.
Yeah.
Who knows? Ivan might just
no star linebacker.
Yeah, Ivan might just want to play O-line. Have the same career as Jason. Who knows?
A little shorter. A little shorter than Jason.
Just a tiny bit.
Tiny bit. I'm going to go back to kind of this team. We mentioned the two quarterbacks. What?
Hold on.
What we got?
He said, ripping off face masks, that's crazy. Next, you're going to tell me these guys stick their heads into fans.
Steven, I got some stories for you, man.
Well, that's Royer's thing. Like, that's like, we talk about that with Royer. Like,
yeah, but there's also other things that it's like, all right, it happened. All right, we're going to keep that. We're going to keep that where it lies.
Well, like, one of our ways to question a guy, like how tough he is we ask Royer, did that guy put his head in a fan?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got literal interpretations of that, but neither here nor there.
I'm sure you put your head in a fan a time or two.
Not by choice.
Okay. You just standing up.
Yeah.
Captain. Yeah. Who knows?
All right, back to the QBs. Hit me with it.
Sorry.
Well, no, you're like, yeah. Captain Morgan would make me put my head through a fan or something like that. Anyway, back to it. But we mentioned the QBs and how everyone has certain points of view on, whether it be Ben, whether it be the scrambling ability of Evan. As far as running backs go, because this is another one where kind of Chuck is kind of he had 18 carries
Chunk
on Saturday. Yeah, Chunk. There we go, Aaron. Went over 100 yards. Even after the fumble, he came back. He was pretty resurgent and had a good afternoon. But then you have a player like Corey Kiner as well, who's back there. And, relatively running style and size-wise, it seems like similar to when you played with Mike,
and he looks like Mike.
Yeah, and you also had Chunk in the backfield as well, who kind of changed the pace here and there. So when these different guys come onto the field, is the blocking scheme again? Is it different, or is it something along the lines of play call, or is it something where like, hey, maybe I don't have to hold on to this block long enough and I can get up to the next level faster because I know that Chuck's going to be trying to get up there with me.
So I will say, who Corey actually reminds me of more is Tion Green. Oh no, Tion. Tion used to run into dudes on purpose just so they feel him through the beginning of the game, just so they don't want to tackle him again. But surprisingly for us, we're simple folk, offensive line, man. We don't know formations. We get 2 words. We get the side it's going to and what the play is. We have no idea who's back there. Okay. And it's the same as we were talking about the quarterbacks. We're going to block that scheme the exact same. 99.9% of the time, I'd never look back into the backfield to see who's back there. It was always kind of whoever's carrying it. And I just expected the coaches to have the person in there who's the best dynamic for that specific play. And I think it is great that they have the kind of variability where you have the speed and you have the kind of bulldozer, the third and one, or like the jet sweep guys. I think it's, just adds to that versatility. But at the same time, Corey's got speed, and I've seen Chuck lower his head. So, you could really keep people on their toes as well. So a great, duo between those two.
You saw
Speaking
Chuck
of weight fluctuation, Tion Green. That kid could go home at 205 and come back 240. Like,
you're telling me I've never seen somebody do voluntary cardio at camp before besides Tion.
And he would lose it in a week. He would go up 30 and down 30 in like a 17-day span.
Well, that's easy. Will Sturr lost 17 pounds in one summer and one practice.
Oh, water weight, baby.
Just it goes on and on.
When it comes to Chuck, because you saw Chuck when he was a true freshman, and
oh yeah,
man, he was
deer legs Chuck. Oh yeah,
he was electric. Had some unbelievable speed. Are you seeing some glimpses of that Chuck, or do you think this is the new and reformed Chuck that maybe will go after the contact a little bit more because he might not feel he's got the angle or this, that, and the other?
Well, we used to joke when he was a freshman coming in, he was taking those big kind of gazelles. It's like, man, he's fast, man, he's good, but man, if he takes a head-on hit, you better watch out. He might not get up as quick. And it's great to see him develop as a running back and get more, add some more dynamic to his runs. Speaking of, speed and everything, from what he's gone through, I'm just happy to see him back on the field. I went through my fair share of injuries, and it's hard, especially, taking, I had my knee surgery. I know he's had a couple now, and especially running back, getting hit all the time. There's always kind of that, you're always a little nervous in the back of your head at every contact that, something's wrong, something could go wrong. So I think throughout the year, as he gets more comfortable, as he starts taking hits, he starts realizing it's fine. You'll see him open up his speed even more. And you'll see back to freshman year Chuck.
Man, I would love to see that.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. As an offensive line, everybody talks about the ability to have a running quarterback and what that running quarterback kind of can do to vary an offense. What does it do for an offensive line when you've got a quarterback back there? And you saw this with the year that Gunner, like the big year that Gunner had, where every other play is potentially a 15 plus. Ben had 10 plays of 15 or more yards in the air on Saturday. Like, what does that do for an offensive line where, like, I know you guys always talk about we love run blocking.
Who says that?
Every offensive lineman I ever talked to says they love just smashing into people and picking up yards on the ground. What does it do for an offensive line when it's like, oh, all right, now we
ask them if they want to. Yeah, ask them if they want to do that.
Yards down the field.
Yeah, you do not want to smash your head into somebody for 80 straight plays. Those are the talk tough guys, man. When you hear a pass play come after like a 3 or 4 run plays in a row, you're, oh, please, thank you. And sometimes it's a little bit, especially you get like a full slide going. You only got to put a half a hand up or something like that. No, it's great to have Ben be able to chuck. I remember there was the Eddie Grand days when the first play of the game. Every single time we used to bomb the ball downfield, and we used to catch it. What 60 a majority of the time, more often than not.
Chris Moore and Johnny's just fast.
Johnny Holton, Mikhail McKay. You got Shaq. You got I mean,
Chiz,
obviously
Alex Chisholm. Don't forget Chiz.
I mean, just unbelievable talent. But it is great to kind of see that kind of air raid being able to come back in. If you can specialize as an offensive line on something, like if you're really good at passing off, blitzes and twists, and you can make Ben settle in there and be comfortable in there, these wide receivers are going to get open. Somebody's bound to make a mistake, and if they don't, corner's bound to hold somebody up, and you're willing to get a play on that. I mean, it's beating your head against a brick wall sometimes isn't always fun, and You really just have to play against what you're given. I remember there was times where people used to pack the box and dare us to throw the ball. And, at that point, it's up to the receivers to get it done. And then there was times where they just used to drop back everybody, and they used to just play it really thin. And it was up to us to get some movement. We knew we had either a +1 or we were even with the quarterback. And so it does take a little bit. It adds a nice dynamic with a quarterback who can run, but I think Ben can get it done. I think he does a great job reading defenses. I think he has a lot of game time. I think he can audible into things that, can change varying on what the defense looks like. And I think that's comes with experience, which he has, which is a nice kind of touch, which I think can compensate for, say a new quarterback who has running ability that can, make plays happen. Yeah. But at the same time, if you have somebody who can check the right plays into the right coverages, into the right defenses, that's going to go even further because luck only goes so far.
Well, it also helps when you have 5-6 guys are going to be running wide open all the time.
That's true.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you saw Ben's quote after the game, but he said, at some point during the first half, it felt like it was 7-on-7 out there. Is that probably one of the best compliments an offensive lineman can hear?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you have a clean quarterback, if your quarterback doesn't have any stains on him, at the end of the day, you did a good job. And if he feels comfortable and he's buying you those dinners the following week before game, you can tell how much a quarterback loves an offensive line by the dinners he buys them. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, it's a great compliment to us. But like I said, pass pro sometimes can be a little bit of I don't want to say a slack off play, but at times the best compliment to an offensive line, I will say, is that the line of scrimmage is 3-4 yards down the field. It is something to say that you were able to move somebody against their will, 4 or 5 years. Not saying that's the easiest or what I always love to do, but that's probably the best compliment. But it also is a nice compliment to keep your QB clean at the same time.
As you get in some of the play calling talk, obviously there's a new offensive coordinator this year with Gino Guidugli. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you've seen out of Gino so far that you like? And do you think we're going to continue to see that offensive playbook expand as the season progresses as far as his creativity goes?
So you're talking to a guy who I am cursed as an offensive lineman to over my years and years of film study. I primarily watch the offensive line. I don't tend to watch anything else going on around. I know Gino. I know what he's done for the school. I know, his career there is absolutely phenomenal. I know his knowledge of the game. I see the way that the players not only respect him, but the way that they trust him and the way that they can interact with him, both as a coach and as a friend and as a father figure. I think that's really important. It's something really special that he has that not a lot of people do. I think he, games like Miami, you can keep your play calls a little bit reserved. You want to kind of keep your looks a little bit hidden from, your bigger rivals, your bigger games. And I think that he's doing a great job of that. I think that we are just kind of seeing the tip of the iceberg here of what is to become.
Well, then I guess to piggyback off of that, if you're watching as a lineman, Mike Cummings, new to Cincinnati, what do you know, if anything, about Mike Cummings, and what have you seen so far from what he's brought?
I've seen a lot more kind of downhill blocking, and that's something that, Coach Crook, one of the best coaches I ever had, loved him to death, loved his coaching style. What's going on now is more of a downhill scheme, really uprooting people and moving them vertical as not really too much lateral. And I think they're doing a great job of that. And I think also a testament to him is having those guys in the backup, having those guys ready that may not be your starters, that were able to kind of step in and kind of take over and kind of pick up where, Renfro was not able to move forward anymore. And I think that's important. And, I wish I could see his scheme a little bit more, understand the more deep connections of what he's trying to do, the double teams he's trying to set and everything. It's hard to see everything when it moves so fast especially against an odd front that's not typical of what you kind of see or what they typically see throughout their weeks normally. So okay. I can't say too much, only what I kind of barely see on the surface there. I don't know too much in depth. Also, Crypt
Jalen-
Keeper. Yeah, it's
Jalen
Jalen
Minor.
Minor. Yeah, I said Bryson Minor
Minor.
earlier, and I'm thankful that they were able to say something. Yeah, it's Jalen Minor, who was the one who threw up.
He was stronger than shit too.
He was stronger, but Jeff Luck is different beat, man. You're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was Jeff Luck stronger, but I'm saying he was stronger than shit too. Jalen Minor was.
You wanna you know who I'd put in the Jeff Luck category though is Sam Longo.
Wow.
Really?
Oh man.
Did
The
he
dude
ever rip
wouldn't
anybody's
eat.
face mask off their helmet?
I wouldn't say that, but he used to play around with weights in the weight room like they were kids' toys. Absolute freak of nature too.
So, what? Sam Longo, that's offensive lineman, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Ohio State
offensive lineman transfer from. Yep.
Yeah. Golly.
All right, let's get before we let you go. Let's get some good Trout stories in here.
Trouters, man. Oh, dude.
I haven't heard
Where
from
to
him in a
start
while.
with-
I used to hear from Trout all the time.
Man, he's off the
haven't heard
deep
from
end.
Trout
He's
in a while.
got his mustache out facing this way. He's got his
Yeah.
long hair. He is.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, dude. They.
Literal Trouter.
Oh man, I will now. Oh man, Trout story. Okay, I remember we were walking out to practice. It was a summer day. I don't know why this story stuck with me. It's not even that funny, but I remember Wilster jumped on his back and he said, "I'm riding a fish," and he galloped around with him like it was like a rodeo. That was funny. Let's see here. What else? You gotta. Oh. He had a very special way of greeting the strength staff in the morning when they came to wake us up in the hotel.
Right? Naked.
Fair. Okay.
There's a little more to it, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
He had a very special way of greeting people.
I love
Let's
Trout.
see here.
That's
Him
such
passing out. Probably
He passed out all the time.
he was the king of it, man. He just wanted to get out of practice.
Like if it was warm, not even hot. If it was warm, there was a good chance you were going to look over and Trout was passed out.
It was like one of those movies, though. I remember Phil asked him, he's like, "Trout, are you okay?" He's like, "I don't know if Phil is so good." He just face planted into the crowd. Dude, he is so funny. You think about, the games are great and all, but the times I remember the most is like sitting in meeting rooms and just like his little quirks, just like little things he used to do that were just, it would make what's his name? It would make Coach Crook giggle, make everybody. I mean, just him being him. It's hard to explain, Trout. It's hard to pinpoint specific stories, but you just knew if you were going to be around him, you were going to have a great day.
The more I got to know him, the more it kind of made sense, like why Trout didn't work at Ohio State.
Oh yeah, he was
Like-
never serious enough for that.
No, like
And that's
he
why
was
he did
serious,
so well down
but
here.
he was serious about what mattered. But outside of that, there was a lot of fun to him.
You see all these like pictures and you see all these like meetings that like Urban Meyer has and stuff, and just how stoic he is and everything. And then I think of Trout and I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. This makes total sense why they might not have been he might not have been his biggest fan.
Stoic until he's running oil changes.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
Talk about that whole offensive line as a whole, because it was like kind of the land of just throwing together, toys.
Oh,
if
the
you will.
misfits.
The
Yeah.
misfit toys. Yeah. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a 28-year-old
Which one-
on the line with you guys. I mean,
I was gonna say, which one are you talking about? We got my
Second year.
okay.
or
yeah.
both years. You can do both years. Yeah.
I mean, my original senior, Kendall Calhoun was a transfer, had been there 2 years. Corey's a converted D end. Me, Will, and Dave, the three interior guys, all former walk-ons. I mean, it was a crazy time. And where, those are still, 5 of my best friends to this day. So it just goes to show how, that kind of bond lasts forever. I wish, man. He had to take off. He had some kind of hunting season coming back up. He's a roamer, man. He's all over the place. He never stays too long in one place. But no, my senior year, that was
Your third
quite the
senior
eclectic. Yeah, right. Flip a coin. Which one you would talk about? That was a very eclectic group, even more so than my fifth year. Dino Boyd, one of the most quiet dudes I've ever known in my life. I don't think I heard him speak more than 5 or 6 words in my entire time there. He kept to himself, but he was a phenomenal football player, and he got his job done. And we bonded with him in the weirdest sort of ways. It started with, like I said, in that film room, just kind of like looking over to him and like making like weird gestures or stuff like that, and just seeing him laugh. He was such like a reserved guy, and just like making him laugh sometime was just kind of like special moments.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll let Dino Boyd was one of the major reasons that team won 11 games.
Oh,
because
for
it
sure.
solidified you at left tackle. It moved Trout back inside.
Yep.
You got to play center when you weren't hurt. But like Dino coming in stabilized everything, it felt like.
Oh, he's phenomenal. He did such a great job for transferring in, not knowing the system, having to pick it up, new coach, new everything. I think he did a great job, and I'm so happy to see him play in the CFL now. I think he's a baller, man. I think he was probably one of the best pass pro blockers that we had when we were there. Moving into Trout, you already know Trout, man. He is the definition of misfit, but one of the funniest guys I know and one of the freakiest athletes I know. I mean, he was just an absolute hoot. He made every day fun, and again, still one of my best friends. Then we moved to Morgan James. That was for him to the path that he took. I thought my path was long. He was an unbelievable story, and to have 2 kids during it. I remember a time when I had to take an exam. We were working together at the same place, and I was like, "Hey, will you please, can you cover my shift? I need to take this exam tonight." I completely forgot about it. He's like, "Yeah, you have to watch my kid though." So I was watching Morgan's 2 kids while I was taking this exam before his wife came home. And there's just things that you never think. I mean,
he was 29.
I know. It's I'm in my senior year of college. I'm here babysitting these 2 kids, taking an exam. It's just funny things like that. He kind of brought a maturity to the group. It was a nice balance to him to Trout on the other side. And the other great thing about Morgan is, throughout all his years, I mean, those are his first 6 years of football, in a long time. And so he was still learning through that whole process, and to have him there was, it was also special. And then rounding it out with my boy Fergie Ferg in the Bahamas. And he's just a trip. I mean, him and Trout's dynamic was bar none some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen.
I couldn't even imagine the 2 of them every day.
Oh, those 2. It was just, they hated but loved each other so much at the same time. And just to watch those 2 was an absolute riot. And yeah, again, just a bunch of misfits put together, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
It worked. Absolutely worked. Just one more question about this year, though, real quick.
You're good.
And I'll let them close it out. Obviously IU coming in next week. It's a big way to close out the out of conference in a big way. NIF's going to be rocking. What would be one thing you want to see out of this team come Saturday?
Playing fun, playing fast, kind of catching their stride.
Starting fast.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Catching their stride, not letting that first half get to them. I mean, it feels like it's just been like a running theme for the past couple of years. It feels like every game it's just like a slow start. And it kind of, it brings back those feelings of oh man, here we go. But no, I want them to play fast, play smart, get rid of the pre-snap penalties, obviously. Yeah. Take care of the ball. Obviously, turnovers can become a big part of the game. It's hard to lose the dudes that we did to the NFL and all the dudes who left and graduated. I want the guys that are there now to know that, they're the next guys up, and it's time to grow up. It's time to play. It's time to kind of show everybody that the first game of the year wasn't who we are, and to start blowing some teams out.
So take me real quick through getting back downstairs with Brady, getting some workouts in.
Oh yeah,
that was a big country down there.
That was quite the time. So Corey and I, Corey came into town for one night, so we were out the night before. We woke up. He's like, I got to get up early. I got to get down. I'm going to grab a few things. I might get some treatment for my ankle, and then we can get out of there. I just want to see the locker room. Perfect. Fine. I'll go with you. We go down. The whole time he's telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I got to get out of here. I got a 7-hour drive ahead of me. I don't think, I don't want to stick around here too long. Perfect. It's fine with me. We can get that done. So we do everything. And then the last thing he wants to do, he said, let's go say hi to Brady. In the back of my mind, I was like, I said, I know where this is. I was like, I know he wants to get out of here, so maybe he'll say no. So we walk downstairs. Of course, a bunch of the dudes are getting the lift in. And Brady has a wild look in his eyes. He's looking around. You guys want to lift? And Corey looks at me, and I look at Corey. And I know Corey's not going to say anything because he'll never let anybody down in his life. He will say yes to anything. He's yes man. And so I'm like, you know what? Corey's got a big drive ahead of him. We're out, kind of tired. And Corey looks at me, and Corey looks at Brady. In short terms, he's, Garrett, why are you being such a wimp? Yeah, he threw me under the bus a little bit, and I was like, all right.
You were trying to save your friend.
I was trying to save him. I knew it was coming. He only had the 1 year. I was blessed with 2 years with him and a couple lifts in between. I know when Brady gets his hands on us, we don't have to be ready for a game the next weekend. He can do whatever he feels like.
Right.
So we spent a solid hour and a half. Absolutely. There was a time. Thankfully I've kept up with it, over the past couple of years. I try to get my lifts in when I can, but I think Corey, fresh off of surgery, I don't know how much time he's had to work on his cardio. There was a time when Corey looked at me with just absolute fear in his eyes, like, what did we do this for? And I looked at him, I was like, hey man, you asked for this. But no, we got done at the end. All love to Brady. He's always so accommodating, always so loving, man. That's like a second dad to me. We had a great time. It's always great to get back in there, get back into the Brady program. Those are some of the strongest times of our lives. And we love to just get back after it and kind of have that feeling. Corey's name's up all over the walls there. I got a few things up in there. It's kind of nice to go back and just see how much they honor former players.
You didn't run a 4.29.
4.30. I was there, cut it real close.
Just missed it.
Just missed it. Yeah.
I feel it.
No, I'm upset, man. Is it Jawan Briggs, right?
Yeah.
Broke my bench record, man.
That dude
upset.
Is strong.
I know. I see that, man. He broke my record. I was a little upset about that, but I knew it was bound to happen. I didn't know it happened so fast, but as long as I stay up there in second, I'm okay. I can live with it.
There you go.
Well, it's been awesome to have you on, brother.
Yeah, thank you
You
guys
are right
so much.
up there with amongst my absolute favorites of all time in my time I've been doing this. When I get to see you drop by practice, or as soon as I see you walking around, it brings a huge smile to my face and it brightens my day. So
you know what? Being out there, it just stepping on that field, I light up. I get so jealous. I get so. I live back in my memories and the glory days, all the times I had there, the friends I made there, everything. And then I look down at the knee braces and I think, I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
No, I'm good. No,
it was fun. It was fun.
You guys make it fantastic. Being welcome back, like I said, having everybody there and being so accommodating, so welcoming, so, allowing me to be there and be a part of that is such a phenomenal thing. And like I said, the university has given to me so much more than I could ever give back to it. And I'll forever be grateful for that and everybody who helped me get there.
You want to shout out Karen while you're here?
Karen, if you're still sticking around, the funniest thing, it's like the universe was speaking to you because we were having lunch on Sunday and this was probably around what time did you text me? Probably 1?
I can look.
All right, we'll call it 1. You texted me around 1 at 12:15.
It was 1:10. It was 1:10.
Okay. So 12:15, 12:30, she looks at me. She's like, so how come you're never on the podcast? Why do you never go on? I'm like, I don't know. They don't ask me. And I swear, when you sent me that text, I literally went like this. I showed it to her. She laughed for the next 5 minutes. She thought it was the funniest thing ever. She said, you texted him, didn't you? You had to say something. No, she's the greatest. She's the biggest fan of you guys. She loves this stuff. She listens to it religiously, and she's the best.
Hit
Can
me
I
up
say?
if you ever have something to say that we need to talk about. With
got
you.
it.
I'll just send you a link in the middle of the show. I'll send you a link. You can pop in for what you want to talk about, and then you can pop back out.
You have carte blanche. You are
I
one
love
of the
it.
OGs. Like, you can come
I
in
love
at
it,
any
man.
given time.
Whatever.
I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always so much fun to be here. If Warrior can't fill in again, you know who to call. I'm always more than happy to be here. Chad, I will see you on Thursday. I got something to give you.
Tuesday.
Oh.
Tuesday. Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Hey, whatever.
Tuesday is practice day.
Oh, that's right. I get my see. Yeah. I've been out of the game for too long. Been out of the game for too long. I don't know what's
Tuesday
going
is
on
media
anymore.
practice day. That's when you
Okay.
used to have to deal with us in the hallways.
Oh, not fun. I remember every week, every Tuesday, I'd come out with new progress. I'd be first week I was on crutches. Second week just a boot. Third week pass set. I'd always be so happy to come out and show you.
Fourth week, I'm playing this week. No,
Yeah,
I am.
I cried that game. I cried because Crook wouldn't put me in.
Which one?
I was pissed. It was USF. We were already beating them. And I was
USF
like,
game, yeah.
I want to go. And he's like, no, man. He was like, we're winning. I was like, I don't care.
Not to
It
get too
was,
sentimental, but how was that UCF game just walking out, though?
Oh.
You don't have to talk about the game. Just the walk out.
I mean, everything. It was a culmination. It was like it was meant to be. College game. It was college game day that week, right?
Yeah.
College game day that week. Being out there, full crowd, sold out crowd, just it brought tears to my eyes. It really did. I was so excited. And then I figured out really quick that I was very, very out of shape. I had oxygen on the sideline. I came out cherry
They should
red.
have played you against USF.
I thought, I
Yeah.
thought so too. Bob was ready to play me week 3 against Navy. He said, you're good to go. Aaron didn't think so, but yeah, right.
Bob's the best.
All right, brother. Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
guys.
jumping on tonight. And whenever we need you, we're gonna give you a call. Well,
You got it.
You're in the rotation more often.
All right. What time are you going to be downstairs tomorrow?
Pressers at noon, and
Okay.
then practices at like 2.
Wait, you guys still get lunch?
Yeah, we still get lunch at like 11:30.
All right, I'll be there at 11:30. Don't you worry.
Saturday?
Never miss out on my free lunches.
Garrett, you'll be there Saturday too?
Saturday? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We'll see you around.
We'll have to catch
All
you on
right.
the grid. We'll see.
Sounds good. Good to see you guys.
Thanks,
Love
Garrett.
you, Garrett.
See you,
Yeah, no
man.
problem. See ya. Bye.
Garrett Campbell.
There you go. Like, look,
Gare Bear.
I said last week that Malik is my favorite, just from how close we've gotten. Garrett is right up there, 1A, one. Like, if we're doing 1A, 1B, Malik Van, Garrett Campbell.
Iron sharpens iron too.
Right. Like, he's such a fun dude. He's such a great personality. He's got a great perspective on football. He can give us offensive line stuff.
It's like you're making the Avengers of walk-ons.
Well, here's the thing. Like, these are guys with personality. Like, these are it. He just mentioned it earlier in the show when he said they were out there at 5:30 in the morning. Like, we are paying to do this.
Yep.
Right? Like, we're not on scholarship. They didn't even another thing he mentioned back before they changed a lot of the stuff. They weren't even allowed during two-a-days to eat with the team. The team would be eating a full meal, a full catered meal, and they would be scrounging on snacks from like the snack bin down in the locker room. Like Royer, Garrett, Tobes, those guys. If you guys want, and I think this is important to you guys, if you guys want the essence of people that live and breathe University of Cincinnati, these are the guys.
Right.
These are the guys.
That love football.
Love football, love basketball, like love the sport, love the school, love everything about their experience.
Yep.
These guys all earned scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't given scholarships. They showed up and earned scholarships. I am always going to err on the side of that.
Right.
Because to them, this shit is important. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it really, really important.
Yeah.
So I did want to go back to this. A bunch of misfits put together is this entire network of podcasts. Hey, Steven, what are you doing Thursday night at 9:00? So I might have something else for you. Might have something new Thursday night at 9:00. It'll be announced tomorrow. Stay tuned. But my quest to have a podcast every day of the week continues Thursday night at 9:00. And again, it's another one that I you won't see me. But you'll get a lot of good insight. And you'll get some more misfits.
We're working on it.
There we
I
go.
would love an alumni-based podcast. Some might say this podcast would make you soppy wet.
Yikes.
It might have already been mentioned as well, right? Or was that off air?
Off air. That was off air.
was off air.
Yeah, we haven't, but I've given a big hint. Stay tuned on Twitter tomorrow. There will be an announcement for something new coming to the network on Thursday night at 9 p.m.
There we go. Yeah, I was gonna say I had a buddy when I was at IU that was a walk-on, and he was a different breed of person. And if you can tell from Royer and now Garrett and probably a few other people, you can tell these guys aren't wired quite like a lot of the other people out there.
No,
So.
like you have to be wired different. You're paying tens of thousands of dollars,
right,
for them to torture you
to play football, and generally for most 90% of walk-ons, you never see the 2 deep.
right.
But you are practice squad. You're wearing the blue jersey with the number on it, where we don't even know who the hell you are.
Right.
Once camp breaks.
Right alongside Pat and Max.
Right. Like it's I will always have a soft spot for those guys, because those guys, I feel a kindred spirit. I wasn't good enough to play college sports, but I found my way in. I worked my ass off. I paid my dues. Like, I think you're there, Brent. I think Aaron's the ultimate misfit. He did something for like 15 years that didn't have anything to do with any of this. And now he's on his way in. We are misfits. That's why we identify with those guys. And I think that's why when we have them on, the content is outstanding. And Garrett was no different. I love that man.
All right, $5 for a question. So
Okay.
We're going to honor the question. Can I hear y'all talk more about Houston imploding over the weekend? I can't believe it. I had them as a lock to be in the AAC title game, and now poop.
Well, here's the thing,
comes,
Zach.
That comes from Zach Jones.
Zach Jones. Here's the thing, Zach. They could still very much be in the AAC title game, because that's really mainly determined by your AAC record.
Mm-hmm.
So they could find themselves in the AAC title game. But man, they're a hot mess right now. Thank you for the donation. Big time. Appreciate you. They're a mess. Like there doesn't seem, we talk, and I hate it so much. The culture. But if there's not a bigger, like, stark contrast in culture from UC to Houston, I don't know what to tell you. Like, they got guys fighting on the sidelines.
Can you imagine if that had happened here? Let's talk about that for a second. If that actually happened, where somebody came back to the sideline with Luke Fickell and fought someone else on the sideline, you don't see that kid again.
Yeah.
Transfer portal season. But no, it is weird, because you thought that Dana kind of had him heading in somewhat of a right direction, but the beginning of the season has just been insane.
This is where culture does matter, Brent. Like,
right? No,
do you think that's more the Red Bull or more the vodka?
Good point.
The Red Bull.
I like mine with sugar-free Red Bull nowadays. I've had enough with the regular.
Dana's a leaded. He's not an unleaded. He's a leaded guy.
Right, he is. But no, I mean, it's even so weird. You've got a veteran quarterback who should be able to calm everyone. The whole thing is just off kilter. And I don't know. It'd be weird because maybe those teams are pretty solid, and you can look at it that way.
They're talented. They're plenty talented.
Right. But the teams they played, maybe they are somewhat more
they're
stronger
unhinged.
than exactly. I was going to say. So maybe the teams that they played are better than they were thought to be coming into the season. But the antics that happened off the field and the antics that are slowly trickling in and the miscues and I mean, you think
Well, but didn't we see? Remember year one when everybody just opted out and was like, "I'm saving my like if I can transfer, I'm getting the fuck out of here."
Yeah, but like that was Dana driven too.
Yeah,
Dana was like, I want to get my own guys in. I want to fits here and there. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But I was kind of just following via updates. I was driving during it, but I just was dumbfounded by what Houston was doing.
I still believe more in SMU than I do Houston, if I'm being honest. Like
now I'm with you.
Tanner Mordecai. Tanner Mordecai to me is greater than Clayton Tune.
They play at SMU and at ECU, so that'll be two
Houston.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, aside from that, quickly, guys, just heading into this weekend, I asked Garrett what he wants to see. Are you kind of just voicing that same sentiment when it comes to what you want to see out of the team leading into the Saturday against IU?
Don't dig yourself a hole.
Yeah.
Be at the end of the first quarter, be tied.
Mm-hmm.
Be up 10-7.
Right.
I know that sounds wild, but like we have not seen what this team looks like really. I mean, Kennesaw State, sure, okay. But I guess the point you could make, we saw them play with the lead with Kennesaw State, and they steamrolled Kennesaw State.
Well, yeah, even then it took the second half for them to really blow up against Kennesaw State.
Right. Well, you had the 2 defensive touchdowns that play from ahead. Yeah. Put pressure, gain pressure on Indiana, who can't run the football. They can't run the football.
And they can't stop the run either. So it's it's a game that, one in the trenches thing. This is one where it could be dominated in the trenches, if you will. Aaron, anything you want to see kind of this Saturday or something that you're looking at the most? Just broad view now on a Monday.
I guess I just want to see like more splash plays. Like I don't earlier, like I don't.
They had 15 splash plays.
I understand, but they didn't against Arkansas. They didn't connect on those, and they didn't against Kennesaw. So I want to see
what second half of Arkansas.
They missed a lot too.
That doesn't negate the fact that they connected on a bunch of them.
I remember the ones that they missed more. Anyway,
that's because you're an asshole.
That's fine.
Maybe disagree. Are you pointing at maybe early fireworks? Is what?
Yeah. I mean, kind of what we've all been beating the same drum. And I'm even less on the penalties. Like they found a way to survive the penalties. Those aren't really.
Yeah, I'm tired of 1st and 15. Second and 13.
Well, that opens the playbook for a lot more splash plays.
There we go.
I hate
silver linings.
I want to see kind of like what you guys are saying, just domination from beginning to end. Don't let it be an in doubt thing, because this IU team, sure, they're 3-0, but they're very easily could be 1-2 or even 0-3.
They're not very good.
No, you got to blow them out of the water. I mean, it opened up at 11 or 14, depending on where you're looking. It's all the way up to 17 right now.
Immediately.
Yeah, it's just it's a game that you should be able to take in hand and dominate truly.
I'm interested to see what Dave has to say Wednesday night in his IU like deep dive. You can give us a little, like you're kind of an IU guy.
The only thing that would get me with them would be if we aren't turnover free, they do have an offense that at times can get rolling a little bit.
They throw the ball a lot.
Right. So, if you're passing the ball enough through the air, we've seen, Miami was able to kind of pick apart on that opening drive. Just on the opening drive.
Yeah. There's 2
plays.
Which
is that, 3 plays. That was it. But can the secondary hold up the entire time? And can you get a pass rush strong enough throughout the entire game where it's just going to throw them off their game immediately?
Yeah.
And, no turnovers. I've got a lot of friends coming in for the game, and I'm telling them just enjoy the atmosphere, because I don't think IU is going to do a really good job on the field.
I'm with you, Reed. seeing if the secondary steps up to the challenge. First team that really wants to throw it all over the place. Yeah. This is on. A lot of this is going to be on the secondary to get IU off the field.
Yes, and
the pass rush.
A pass rush, which I want to see a pass rush. We've seen the blitzes, but I want to see some of the defensive linemen kind of pin their ears back and get to the quarterback as well. So I'm excited to see it. So we'll
Aaron
see.
is Chad's ginger stepchild. I don't beat him like a redheaded stepchild. How can you say you want to see more splash plays when they had 15 plays over 15 yards?
Because it was one of their 3 games that they did that. They didn't do that in all of the games. I want to continue to see that. That's what I wanted to see. Sorry I gave an answer. Christ.
Oh. Aaron gets in his feelings sometimes.
Yeah.
I still love sometimes. All the time.
that is very true.
Rachel accuses me of being the most dramatic person in the house.
Here we go.
There's a wife, a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old, and even worse for you, and a baby. And you're the most dramatic person in the house. And a puppy. And a puppy.
Everybody's got to be somebody.
All right. Well, let's anything more football, guys? I think we roll into basketball real quick.
Yeah. I mean, we got a little extra time. There's not much.
There's nothing in the mailbag. Yeah. So as far as it goes, 13 splash plays against Kennesaw.
So in the last 2 games, they've had 28 splash plays, Aaron.
Before you move on, I did want to point this out. I don't know if it was mentioned, but last week's Wired Wednesday with Van Fossen was pure gold. Yeah. That comes from Lambig on Twitch.
It was.
I did not see last week's, unfortunately, just because we had
the cowboy collar on.
Yeah, we were up in Columbus on we had the BCJ pod Wednesday night when they released it, and then had to get to sleep. Drive to Columbus on Thursday for the doctor to tell us that the clinical trial we drove 2 hours for was no longer available.
I just want to know why he didn't wear the cowboy collar during the game.
Yeah,
I think it was a great.
I'll go back and watch it tonight.
It was a great
watch it tonight.
Worth it. All righty. Basketball. Timestamp, y'all. Tonk stamp, ball. Anyway.
Tonk stamp.
Tonk. Basketball. You guys had a nice Friday night. I'm going to call it a podcast, pretty much.
It was a podcast, essentially, yeah.
That you guys kind of laid out the different names that are in the recruiting world right now. Obviously,
we added a new one today that I've kind of been sitting on. We added a new one today.
Mm-hmm.
Jace Richardson.
Yeah. Jace Richardson.
4-star in 2024, borderline 5-star in 2024.
Son of
Jason Richardson.
Yep.
Does he fly
you talked about, you ran into.
If you remember, yeah.
In Arkansas.
He was on a visit, and we were given a tour of the basketball facilities. So I can see it now. And in a future article, they asked Jace why he dropped Arkansas from his list. He was like, I don't think the staff was giving me a fair shake. They brought opposing teams' fans on my visit for a tour of the facilities.
You go down as a legend.
Which would probably not be good. But yeah, I mean, Jason's a stud.
Does he fly like Jason?
I think potentially. Jason's really a different person when it comes to that. So, but
Jason was playing slam ball before there was slam ball, right? Like he was jumping on trampolines.
Yes, essentially. Chad, was that just a visit and an offer, or?
No, they've been involved with him for a while. That was just one I was asked to kind of, not blow up yet.
Right.
But they went and saw him this week. It was reported by a different network. I'm just confirming that there is definite interest in Jace Richardson in 2024 from Cincinnati staff. I think there is a belief he, for them, is kind of their Isaiah Collier in the 2024 class, and that they think, even though he's rated really high, that he could end up significantly higher on the board as 2024 plays out.
So, is there a connection to Bishop Gorman, or is it kind of just the
No,
staff?
it's the connection to just
Connection to connections.
connection to connections. Yeah. They've been kind of working on this one for a couple months after seeing him over the summer, and now it's being public a little bit more. So, yeah, they like Jace Richardson a lot. So
he's got a bunch of offers, and as you've mentioned, he's someone that will probably continue to rise. But as we've seen the staff do, I don't think that has much bearing on their recruitment. It probably only fires things up for them even more.
It has nothing to do with Flory. Flory's a big man. Jace Richardson's a point guard.
6'2", 6'3" point guard, roughly, I'd say. Yeah, so I guess, Aaron, that would be the only difference between him and Jason. Jason's a big dude. In person, he
Jason
looks
was
even
6'6",
bigger.
6'7".
6'7", yeah. So
he played the 3 back before everyone was playing that size at the 2. So
one of the best players to play with on NBA Live and NBA 2K was
100%
Richardson.
for sure.
High flying 3-point shooting. But Chad, obviously, and Aaron, you can attest to it if you've heard anything on this as well. Baby Shaq wrapped up his. Are we calling him Baby Shaq or Lil Shaq? What was the?
I
what's the
think
nickname?
Baby Shaq was kind of the nickname. He's 6'11", 230-ish pounds.
Samto Cyril. So
Samto Chukwu Cyril.
And you mentioned his
I
pictures
don't think they need to call him Baby anything. Just call him Samto and let that name be itself.
Samto.
If you saw the
He
picture,
sounds like a Indian, right? Like you should be riding a horse with a bandana and a bow and arrow. Samto.
Or like when they recruited him, like I'm not going to get into that, but just
like Tonto, Samto is where I was going.
we could talk off screen about where you're going with that one.
Yeah, just stop. That's good. That was a good stop.
I think the name itself can be
enough. Samto. He could be.
Enough.
He could easily be a one name Samto.
Right.
I think he's going to take a couple more visits. These are junior visits. He's a 2024.
Right.
The 2023 thing, I don't know.
Bingo.
I don't know if it's even possible.
On that we can agree, Paul. Everything else, I think our definitions of splash plays are different.
Okay.
But like in football, only use his first name.
Splash plays are defined as 15-plus yard plays.
We define them differently.
No, you define them differently than what the definition of them is.
We, as in you and I, define them differently.
Just because you don't agree with the dictionary definition of something.
Webster changes dictionary definitions all the time. They add new words. Just saying.
I love it.
Aaron uses Urban Dictionary, not the Merriam-Webster stuff. So,
Splash.
But I wanted to say though, as far as it goes to South,
Aaron uses World Star. He uses
World
World Star's definitions instead of Webster's.
There we go. That works. And he likes to sing them in a choir tone. So it's all full circle. But anyway, so you guys mentioned the pictures of Samto on his visit. You look at him next to Abdul Adu, and you can see the size that he truly has.
So my understanding was he did not know Abdul. They had not officially met before, but they obviously knew of each other. Right. They're both from Nigeria. They both went to Hamilton Heights in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So they knew of each other. Word is they spent a lot of time together this week talking, which is outstanding.
Yeah, it is. And, so obviously, I don't know if you guys touched on it more, but the one crystal ball of him going pro, I don't know.
It's possible.
6% of it.
It's possible.
Yes.
We're also now looking at it's on the table that 2024 kids are going to be able to go straight to the draft. So
yeah, which is
that's entered into the world.
And that's what 2 years in pro, and then you can go, or is it just 1 year removed?
No, it's high school.
Oh yeah, okay.
High school's coming back. It was entered into the conversation for NBA,
Right.
the new collective bargaining agreement,
Right.
that it would return high school to pros in 2024,
2024.
dropping it from 19 to 18, essentially.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So that changes a lot with the 2024 class, obviously.
Sure.
But
Was it already? It's not voted upon yet, though, right? They're just
but it's essentially like the only thing I see delaying it is if they decide to like allow for more time for colleges to adjust. But guess what? The NBA, it's like fuck them kids. They don't care about college. They if they decide with our new collective bargaining agreement, we're going to start at 18, we're going to move it from 19 to 18. They don't care how bad it's going to mess up your college program's recruiting. That they want these kids into the NBA.
They've been trying to create a means to these kids getting that first step and then going into the NBA with the G League Ignite and all these other professional teams, if you will, that are set below the NBA. So yeah, they don't care. And the more that they can use them as, watch this guy, he's already getting paid, so we can already kind of broadcast him and promote him as being the future NBA star. So yeah, they don't care. I guess then Chad, if Samto, you've mentioned him as well as a potential reclassifying candidate.
I just talked about that. Like I don't know. Like
yeah,
that's not a sure thing. I think people have taken that and like just because I said it was possible, have assumed it was like an absolute lock. No, I just said it was something that's on the table. You know what else is on the table for Samto? Going to the NBA in 2024.
Right.
Like
well,
I
guess
my
question
was, it has to be voted on.
Isn't it kind of
not
more
on the table?
It's kind of more likely for a lot of players that could potentially be able to reclassify if they figure out some sort of amount of classes that they've gone to and whatnot. So I don't think it's
different with international. Like that's the problem. He's international. It's not just as easy as like a high school kid graduating early.
Right. So,
there's a lot more layers to it. It's a lot more difficult than like Steve from Columbus. Like I got all my core credentials or my core, it's not that simple.
Right.
Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I think it's possible, but I think it's not as easy as like everybody just thinks because I mentioned it, it's a foregone conclusion. That's not where it's at.
Right. Well, speaking of high school kids that will be transitioning to the college ranks in 2023, a big visit weekend coming up this weekend. Both Jizzle James and Arlington Page scheduled to be in town. Anything more you've heard on those fronts? Just kind of squaring up for what could be a potentially massive weekend.
I think Jizzle, I think Cincinnati is putting themselves in a really good position. Like I talked about with Aaron, they're going to have a chance to really establish themselves if they crush the visit.
Right.
They got to crush the visit. But if they crush the visit, they can put themselves in a really strong position. With Page, it's the same as with Collier, man. This is USC Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I know the Michigan people think they've got an outside shot at Collier. I think with both of these guys, it's coming down to USC and Cincinnati and who does the best job between now and whenever they announce.
Right.
My understanding is Page is probably going to visit USC after the Cincinnati visit. I don't have that confirmed. Mm-hmm. But my understanding is that's like where their thought process is. Visit both, make a decision. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Like that, it's going to be a really interesting weekend on campus because, you got a big home game. The grid's going to be crazy. They're going to have their tailgate over by the Oscar statue. If everybody ran by that tailgate and made their case for Jizzle James and Arlington Page, probably wouldn't hurt.
Right.
But that's kind of they're dialing down on both of those kids. They're dialing down on Collier. We'll see where it goes from there. If there are additional official visits scheduled after that, that might not be the greatest sign, but they're dialed in on where they're at with these guys right now.
For what it's worth, Rayvon posted something on his Instagram. Jizzle James reposted it on his Instagram story.
Yeah,
just reporting news that's out there. Aside from that, and anything more on the Isaiah Collier front as far as him potentially nothing date wise or not date wise of commitment, more of just visit wise. But
I don't think he's taking visits. I've said that for 2 months. He doesn't. They don't plan to take senior official visits.
Right.
Maybe that changes. As of now, that has not been something that has been entered into the discussion.
Okay, there we go. Had to cover every base there.
No, that's fine. Like, I get it. I'm just answering the questions, right? Like,
yeah, without. Then anything else, Aaron, that you've seen?
I was just gonna say, speaking of questions, there are not many in the mailbag.
There aren't. But small but mighty. How about that? We'll give them that.
Maybe we can get out of here. Maybe we can get out of here before 2 hours.
Oh, wait. Even with that
I'll
amount
see if
of,
I can get us to 2:01.
I mean, we've got 13 minutes and 30 seconds. There's no way we're out of here before 2 hours.
We've got 5 questions, bro.
5 questions. Average of 3 minutes per answer. Come on.
You're filibustering. Opening up the mailbag in the
wait. We forgot the talk stamp.
In the football section.
Talk stamp. There we
go. 146 is the mailbag. Is Indiana the program on this year's schedule that you see gets into the most recruiting battles with? If so, does that make this game that much more important?
No, because if you're winning recruiting battles, like the real recruiting battles in Indiana, it's not really Indiana, right? It's Purdue, it's Notre Dame. Like, yeah, Indiana gets some of the decent talent, but if you're going to make Indiana a priority, IU is not who you're circling, right? And individual games don't really matter to kids 99% of the time. They don't care. They're not like, well, I'm down to UC in Cincinnati, so whoever wins this game, that's where I'm going. Coaching staffs don't matter. Relationships don't matter. I'm picking who's winning the game.
Yeah.
It's not how recruiting works. It's just not.
So, Chad, obviously the big kind of Indianapolis and Indy area connection was Brian Mason when he was on staff.
Yeah, now he's at Notre Dame.
So, have you seen? It doesn't seem like there's as many, hats being thrown in to the Indianapolis and Indy area.
Not yet. I know that historically, Kerry Combs has been very strong in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're looking at right now. We're in such a weird spot because 2023 is essentially done.
Right.
And 2024 is one of the stronger years I can remember in Ohio.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're trying to get as much footing in Ohio in 2024 as humanly possible right now. Maybe the Indiana stuff comes a little bit later, or as we get into, like junior days, who they get on campus, stuff like that. I just haven't got a sense that like they're focusing on a ton outside of Ohio right now in 2024. Obviously they are, but like you're in season. Like you're trying to win games.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
And I think McCullough was the only IU Cincinnati back and forth out of this commitment class so far. So not really.
All right. To the best of your ability, can you provide the years of eligibility for the following players?
Oh Christ. No, not really.
Let's try.
if they choose to use them, and it's after this season. Ben Bryant.
He has 1 year if he wants it.
Yeah, this year, next year. Yeah.
Chuck Charles McClelland, aka
like,
Chuck.
so he came in 2018.
I would say he could apply for a waiver.
I would
He
agree.
played. Well, how many waivers could he apply for?
Just like one medical waiver, because you consider
And a COVID.
yeah.
Oh, you don't have to
Ooh.
So
apply
he
for the
played
COVID.
18. He
So you're saying
sat
he'll be here
19.
for 2 more?
He played 18. He sat 19. He sat almost all of 20.
Right.
He played 21.
Yep.
Now he played
He's
22.
playing 22.
So you take 2 of those years away and a COVID year. He
Good
could
job.
have 2 more. Like, he could possibly, I think, have 2 more years left.
Ivan Pace.
We talked about that.
Right.
19 and 21 are the only 2 full years he played in Miami. He could potentially have a redshirt year and a COVID year.
Mhm.
At least 2, maybe 3 more for Ivan. Well, this year, and then at least 1,
Right.
maybe 2 more
Right.
for Ivan.
Corey Kiner.
Corey Kiner's a redshirt freshman.
Basically a redshirt freshman, yeah.
Yeah,
So
3 more
this
years.
this year plus 3. Trey Tucker.
I don't know.
Trey's he's a true senior, so he would have
a COVID
then
year and a redshirt.
he'd have a COVID year and a redshirt year, but he's not going to redshirt, so just a COVID year.
Yeah.
He could be a COVID senior next year.
All right.
This shouldn't, like, I can't wait until 2020
Till
is
COVID's
no
over.
longer. I can't wait until 2021 is the latest a college football player entered college football.
Yeah, a 2021 class, yeah.
It gets back to normal. Just wait.
Even then, they'll probably try and find some loophole.
Just wait though, Chad. When you're going crazy because the transfer portal has been announced as part of NCAA football 23.
Oh yeah,
That should be
Oh, yeah.
super. People are already talking about the
Paul, you shut your mouth.
people.
We don't know 1 year for Trey. We don't know.
People are already talking about how they're going to make microtransactions part of NCAA.
Right.
$4.99 for you to keep your player
Right.
and drop an NIL.
I'd pay it for sure.
Depends on the
Guy I
player.
liked. Yeah, exactly.
If the Bearcats go to Fayetteville and come out victorious and they're sitting at 3-0 and sporting 25-game regular season winning streak, what is their current rank? What is Arkansas's current rank at 2-1 with a home loss to the Bearcats?
I don't care. I Cincinnati would be 12.
They might be top 10. with
Shoulda,
how
coulda,
many-
woulda. I mean, I
How
don't.
many have fallen in front of them?
I don't love to play this game, but I did talk about last night how Cincinnati being at 31, Arkansas being at 10, and that the fact that there are 9 teams with 1 loss in the top 25 currently, and
Yeah,
I guarantee you,
it's crap.
not all of those 9 teams lost to somebody else who is currently in the top 10.
It's crap. I hate
Just
it.
saying.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they'd be top 10, and I think
They-
Arkansas would be.
They just don't get any respect that everybody else does when they make the college football playoff because
Right. They were a pretender, but weren't supposed to be here.
they quote unquote.
And they lost 9 players. They aren't better than Illinois.
There were no, for the first time ever, there were no questions in the basketball mailbag. I do
I'm
understand.
disappointed in all of you.
I do understand. I put that up really late today, and so for that, I apologize. That said,
that's your fault.
I have a baby. Deal with it.
I guess I'll do one quick mailbag question. Do you mind?
It's your show, Brent. We're all just part of it.
Chad, when is the official first practice?
26th, I think. Well, I think the 26th is the first day you can practice.
Okay.
I don't know if that's when UC will officially practice.
Okay.
But there is good news.
Yes.
Last year, Kelly tried to die, like right around that time.
Right.
And I like the time from the start of practice to the first game, for me, was a complete blur.
Mm-hmm.
This year, she's good. Knock on wood. Yeah, she's good. So I should be at practice a couple times a week.
You literally
means-
have wood to your right.
That's not real wood.
It's
It's a tray
composite.
table.
It's composite.
It's
fine.
Millennium or whatever it's called. What is that stuff called?
It's my charging station. I
like it.
So I should be at practice a lot starting next week. And because I'm allowed to be at practice, that means I'm allowed to talk about practice.
Okay.
So things should start getting a little more spicy
There we go.
on the basketball front.
It's wood pulp and glue.
And then one other question: is there nothing as far as
Thanks, Tonk.
Thank you, Tonk. Is there anything as far as like a Midnight Madness, Bearcat Madness, anything like that
I don't work in
on
that
the horizon? Yeah,
I mean,
I
look,
don't believe so, but
we're
Talk
gonna
to
be
a lot of people that do though.
we're gonna be lucky to see Short Vine closed for this Bearcat Bash if that ever happens. We'll see. So don't get too far ahead of yourself, man.
Paul, we don't
like
have to
it
do
because
little
of
birdies.
that.
I'm going to be allowed to be at practice.
Tweet.
Chad will be the birdie.
I
Wow!
will be the
Breaking
birdie.
news. Haven't you heard? Chatty bird is the word, baby.
I'm like a bird. I only fly away.
There's the choir sound. We haven't heard it yet. Gosh.
All right.
Songbird of our generation.
I'm blaming these mad trees that are 7.9%.
Are they going down pretty
We
smooth?
got to do a nightcap tonight. There.
Pump can. It's fine.
Pump
can?
it up.
Does it taste like pumpkin?
I like pumpkin beers.
Don't you know? Pump it up.
All right,
You
so
gotta
that's
All right,
pump
bump
it
it
up.
up. Don't
Last-
you bump it up.
last portion of the mailbag skins. In honor of Aaron's cute but obviously demonic child, we have some rapid fire questions.
Oh man, jeez.
What is creepier, the kids from Children of the Corn or Aaron's daughter's demon eyes?
The demon eyes are pretty creepy, bro.
While you're in the middle,
it's-
while you're in the middle of nowhere on that drive between Cincinnati and Athens, and you're seeing little demon creepy eyes in the little monitor, yeah, they're the creepiest.
You're probably in like big. Well, so the Brennick's eyes are more creepy because they directly impact someone I know. The Children of the Corn was a movie.
Where
Right.
was that?
Brennick's is the spawn of Aaron, and the fact that she's got demon eyes, that's not good.
That's Aaron.
Yeah.
But I've held Brennick's, and I don't think that she's as scary as the Children of the Corn. That's where
Fair
I'll
enough.
rest it.
I'm strongly going. My daughter's demon eyes. Natty Ice or Milwaukee's Best, assuming you are a broke college student.
Natty Ice.
I'm gonna pull an audible and go Natter Days.
Keystone.
That's because you're a Natter Days.
That's Natty Ice or Milwaukee's Best. Why would I buy either of those two when I can get Natter Days?
Keystone.
Because it's fruity. Do you drink it with your thumb or your pinky up, sir?
Ham.
At times, I'm
Hams.
look. I'm not
Being a
afraid.
bitch.
I'm not afraid to.
Hams.
You're a bitch.
Bush
Question:
Light.
Natty Ice.
Bush
Natty
Light.
Ice. Milwaukee's Best or Natty Ice?
Cincinnati Ice, baby.
I took an audible. It's fine. Yeah. See, Lambig's got it right. Skip a meal and get some silver bullets. There's a pork chop in every can. That's what my old roommate used to tell me.
I mean, that's true. That is true.
Apple fritters or slice of pumpkin roll. Being that I had a,
I'm not down with either of the. Like that's not something I eat. Either,
I had a
like,
slice
either
of pumpkin roll tonight. So
And
delicious. Duh.
okay, duh.
I'd probably go pumpkin roll. I'm not a huge apple guy.
Yeah,
I guess I'd go pumpkin roll.
I'm probably gonna roll with the pumpkin as well. I think pumpkin flavored stuff is good, but to be honest,
So
with you,
I've talked about this before. My grandma used to make for me a pumpkin cake. There was
Yeah.
a full pumpkin cake with the cream cheese icing.
that's like
It's
a
one of my
pumpkin roll,
favorite-
yeah,
It's basically a pumpkin roll. So
All right.
in
pumpkin
cake
roll.
form. But although I don't really like pumpkin pie,
I'm not a big pumpkin pie fan either.
pumpkin
No,
Cake,
roll,
pumpkin is better in cake form.
Y'all are
pumpkin
weirdos.
cake, pumpkin roll, maybe
All right,
a couple pumpkin seeds.
Follow-up question. How much money do fake John Goebel and I have to come up with to sponsor Aaron doing a Sunday podcast updating us on the AAC after we join the Big 12? I feel like this would be a fate worse than death for him. You can't afford me.
Actually, I don't know. I might get with them
If you
put
pay
together
me-
money for it.
If you pay me $200 a month to make Aaron do that, I will make Aaron do it.
It has to be an hour long.
I don't agree to these terms.
45 minutes long.
It doesn't matter.
Chad, I'm a family man. Sundays are for family.
I'll just stop paying you altogether.
They're for family.
I'm kind of liking this idea. So let's fake John
Because
Goble.
it doesn't involve you either. Get outta here.
Skins. Let's go ahead and get together on this. See if we can't pull together enough money to make this happen next year.
Get us out of here.
15
It's a
minutes.
really good idea.
15 minutes every Sunday for Aaron to do an AAC recap on the YouTube channel.
I needed at least
$250. $250 a month. No,
I needed at least 30 minutes.
no, nobody can. Nobody's gonna watch. Like the key is to get people to watch.
Right, but the fact of him having to do it's just one click that's needed.
No, actually, Brent. What's worse? The shorter the time we make him do it is worse.
Brent, what happens when I have weddings to go to? Are you filling in? 'Cause I got a wedding every day next season.
Speaking of filling in, we got to talk about this weekend a little bit.
Oh, it's IU week and Brent's got a wedding. Big
Shocker.
surprise.
Who's surprised?
You know what? No, you know what? It's like last year when Brent had a wedding.
Hey,
IU week.
Brent
went to the game.
Stay in the upper deck.
I did go to the game.
Didn't do any work.
Don't be anywhere near the field.
I went
And
to
then
the
went
game.
to a wedding afterwards.
Stay
I
in
left
the
at
upper
the
deck.
end of the third quarter to go to the wedding.
Yeah,
I
sure. Yeah,
I performed Shaggy Angel at the wedding,
he
and
left
I
in-
have video proof of
Chad,
it.
he left before the game was over because they ran out of everything.
Yeah.
No, it was more just to get back to the wedding, but man, I didn't last long at that wedding. I'll
You
tell you.
didn't
that.
even have water.
If you don't cover the IU game like you're supposed to, you're going to be co-hosting the Sunday night AAC recap with Aaron next
Hey, I'll
year.
do it.
When
I'll do
UC's
it.
in the Big 12.
Lock it in. It'd be my honor to. It would. That'd be a fantastic idea.
Jeff got
Just
put in
let me
timeout
say-
again. Jeff got
just
put
let
in timeout again.
Just let me say thanks to Garrett. That was awesome. That was really good insight. And
Yeah.
it's really hard to get like legit offensive line insight because unless you
Right.
played it, like you
Right.
think you know what you're watching, but you don't have any real actual like clue.
Yeah.
So to get Garrett, I thought was awesome.
No, you brought great
Huge props to
intel.
him. Kathy, love you. Not you, Kathy, but the other Kathy. So
I
yeah.
thought it was Karen.
Oh yeah, Karen. That's right, Karen.
You're welcome.
Kathy Mullaney just has so much real estate in that brain of yours. golly. Well, yes, of course. Big shout out to Garrett. Big shout out as well to Danco, Danco Transmission, as always. Anything else from you guys before we shut this one out?
Get me out of here.
All right, for my dudes, my guys, Aaron Smith and Chad Brendel. I am Brenton Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.